I thought about for years that I maybe someday would have the chance to be around polar bears. It was just a long time dream for me to get up to the Arctic coast of Alaska in the fall and have a chance not just to see polar bears, but to be really close to polar bears. Close to them day and night for 5 or 6 days in a row, constantly in the presence of these incredible animals. I just never understood what an extraordinary creature this is, and there's no way you possibly could until you're right in the presence of them and have them, not only you looking at them, but the polar bear looking at you, and knowing that when this great animal looks at you, it's not just regarding you as a thing, it's thinking about you, because polar bears are animals of such obvious and remarkable intelligence. One of the things that struck me about them was their, in a sense, their dignity, something I'd never really experienced in any other animal. And their amazing way of moving. Here is an animal that looks like a tremendously overgrown science fiction dog in its general shape and in just the texture of it and the way it looks, like a monster of a dog. But what really took me by surprise is this huge animal doesn't move at all like a dog. It moves like a cat. Polar bears have that extreme loose jointedness in their way of moving. It's not, man, I can't even imitate it. You know, it's only a cat can do that, or a polar bear. Totally unexpected. Watching the polar bears play with their world, opening a big hole in the ice and then breaking, you know, finding an area of thin ice and breaking through it to make their own swimming pool in conditions of total blizzard, 15 degrees, 10 degrees, howling winds, polar bears jumping in and out of the water, just playing. Polar bears getting down on their forearms and sliding along, using their forearms as a sled. Polar bears just laying down in these howling winds and blowing snow and sleeping, falling asleep, just the way you or I might do on a hot afternoon of the 4th of July on the green grass of a park. Polar bears doing it in this incredibly frigid world. But maybe the most memorable experience of all with polar bears. I was near a mother bear with 2 cubs. And the 2 cubs were snuggled up against her sometimes, other times playing around. And the 2 cubs came to be next to her, and I was at a fair distance from them, and I started hearing something in the air, just filling the air, like there was an airplane or a helicopter or some kind of a motor going somewhere. And then suddenly I realized those 2 polar bear cubs were both nursing, and they were purring like a cat. And a purr so deep and loud that it really did fill up all the air. And they did that for maybe 3 or 4 minutes while I was frantically trying to get my recording gear to capture this incredible sound that I'd never heard and probably will never hear again. And right about the time I got the microphone plugged in and the recorder going and everything ready, of course, they stopped. And so it's one of those things that's just going to be in my memory, and it'll never be on a radio program, but I guess it's in the most important place of all. It's something that I'll always be able to hear, the sound of those 2 little polar bears purring on the Arctic coast in the middle of the deep chill of late autumn.